Hello, how's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's having a great evening. So, this whole idiotic, pathetic, we have pathetic losers out on the street making fools of themselves yet again. Now, I'm not going to get political about this because one side of the conversation is political. I'm not going to get into that tonight. And then there's the criminal aspect, which I will talk about. So, so if anyone wants to protest anything that they don't agree with, I have no issue with that. All right. But if you want to get out into the streets and make fools of yourself by setting fires, assaulting police officers, throwing what are these called? What are they called? Molotov cocktails, whatever you want to call it. It's no longer a protest. It's under the law, it's called a riot. And I'm sick and tired of hearing these reporters call it a protest. It's not a protest, it's a riot. Damn. These damn reporters calling it a protest. And then you have these politicians on TV saying, oh, they're only protesting. It's not a protest when you got to send in the National Guard to assist local police in arresting people for assaulting officers, throwing rocks, vandalizing cars, sending destruction of property, setting off fireworks. You name it, they've done it. I'm just sick and tired of it. Just because they don't agree with something that's being done. All right. So that was happening on the West Coast, and it spread to different cities in the country. But one that was not really it wasn't really broadcasted on TV too much last week because I didn't hear of it till a few days ago. Was the So did anyone hear of the Delaney Hall incident? So the first incident entailed you had a bunch of politicians wanting their 15 minutes of fame, demanding a tour, and one got arrested and indicted for assaulting an ICE officer. And she thought she thinks she's above the law. She says, "Oh, I'm only doing my job." But she still pushed and shoved an ICE officer, and she violated the law. All right? And I'm just going to say this. If she wanted a tour and she wanted to undo an inspection, all she had to do was walk through the front door with her colleagues and ask for an inspection. All right? Or ask for a tour. The media actually did it the right way and got a tour for themselves. All right. And broadcasted how Delaney Hall is, how it's like. All right. So let's fast forward several weeks. Okay. Now we have riots outside the facility. people getting violent, people shoving ICE officers, people getting arrested, people what do you call it? Destruction of property, government property. And guess what? We had 4 escaped inmates, which so-called rioters helped get out of Delaney Hall, apparently. So we had 4 violent criminals that were roaming our streets. They weren't being held in detention because they were angels. So rioters decided to damage government property, and they aided in the escape of 4 dangerous felons. So the good news is they caught 3 of them. They caught 3 of the felons, and 1 is at large. All right. So just like the New Orleans escape that was profiled, I covered, we had 10 people that escaped the New Orleans parish jail, and 2 are still at large. Well, I'll just say this. I'll just say that them 2 will get caught. Okay. So they'll get caught eventually. It's just a matter of time. So arrests are happening outside Delaney Hall daily. If they wanted to protest immigration law, they should just go to Washington and just or outside their politician's office and just protest there. In my opinion, protesting outside Delaney Hall is fruitless, and they just want to cause a scene. So one inmate is still at large. I just want to put his photo up. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, Smiley. Hey, Witchy Nicole. So no matter how you feel about the issue of sanctuary cities, no matter how you feel on the immigration issue, violence is never an answer. I'm sure many people here can agree with that. So we have 1 inmate still at large, and I'm just gonna you never know. So this person, the reporter, the news report I saw today was this person still at large has connections to Queens, New York. So I'm gonna put up his mugshot right now. Let me see which. Here we go. So here we go. We got this guy's not a nice guy. This was in Newark, New Jersey. Which you call this was in Newark at an ICE facility for the most violent criminals. So this guy, I'm going to read what he's charged with, so everyone can make up their minds one way or the other if he belongs there or not. So everyone knows that Trump is making a priority of rounding up our criminals, illegal criminals, and they're the first priority for deportation. If you agree with that or not, that's all up to you. So I'm not getting political here. So I'll keep those opinions to myself. So Here we go. Let's put this up full screen. So this is the guy the FBI is looking for. Let me read his full name. Mogollon. He's from Colombia. Date of birth used June 3rd, 2000. 5'10", black hair. He's a male. 175 pounds, brown eyes. So there's a $25,000 reward for the arrest of Andrea Filippi Pinada Mogollon. All right. So Mogollon's last known address is Newark, New Jersey. He is known to have ties to Queens, New York. Okay. Let me see here. The FBI's Newark field office in New Jersey is assisting in the search and apprehension of Andreas Filippi Pinada Mogollon, an Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) detainee who escaped from the Delaney Hall detention facility in Newark, New Jersey on June 12, 2025. On June 13, 2025, a federal arrest warrant was issued for Mogollon in the United States District Court for the Federal District of New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, after he was charged with escape from the custody of an institution or officer. He was arrested previously on petty larceny. Okay, so petty larceny is petty theft for anyone that's not familiar with the legal system, and residential burglary charges. So what he did was he burglarized homes. So there were 4 people that escaped. 3 were taken into custody already. And some of these people are known to be gang members, just so everyone knows. So Sunday, they caught 2 of them. So last week, that would be 7 days ago. So here's a picture of damage that was caused by protesters. So-called protesters, I'll call them rioters because that's what they are. So they were causing damage like this outside the facility. And you could tell that something was thrown at the fence or the fencing there. So hello, Raleigh. Yeah, if you burglarized homes, he should be in jail. If he burglarizes homes and steals from people, he should be in jail. All right. And instead of so he's in jail serving time while he waits for an immigration judge. All right. So he's going to get deported. For his crimes, too. So if anyone wants to feel any kind of sympathy for this guy, I have none. All right. So he burglarized people's homes. He stole from people. And now he was in a federal detention center awaiting his day in court. Now, so here's the damage that was done, just so everyone can see. Let me enlarge that for everyone so they can see this, all right? So you see the damage they're causing, these rioters outside the facility? So these are holes. I don't know if anyone can fit through that. Let me just try to enlarge that some more so everyone can get a little better look. But you see, there's like little holes, and it looks like yeah, I have more sympathy for that, which Nicole, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I have more sympathy for the people that feel that their home is a safe place and it was violated. So another few of those people that escaped, one of the charges was home invasion. So, yeah. Some of the people in this facility are gang members. All right. Some people are in for drug dealing to kids. These aren't good people. They aren't angels that are in this facility. All right. They're in federal custody. This is an ICE detention center. I'm not getting political here, but doesn't the same principle apply? You commit the crime, you do the time. Have a good night with Smiling, all right? So, here's the photos. So allegedly what happened was the 4 inmates broke a window, tied a bunch of bed sheets together, and climbed out from the 3rd story. All right. So they found damage. This is the alleged story I heard. So they climbed down the building. They found damage to some fencing or whatever. This is the suspected exit site into the parking lot. And they crawled out into the parking lot where rioters embraced them. And they, because there was such a crowd, they slipped out. Okay. So the rioters over here at Delaney Hall, they were assaulting officers. They were no lack of a better term, surrounding vehicles, obstructing government operations. They were surrounding buses. They were throwing things, throwing rocks at the facility. These are not protesters. These are rioters. They are criminals. I don't care what they believe. They are criminals outside there. You start setting fires, you start assaulting officers, you start surrounding vehicles. That's no longer a protest. That is a riot. All right. So I'm just gonna say this. Apparently, there was an uprising at the facility. DHS claims there was none. So I'm just gonna put that out there for everyone. So apparently, there was a dispute over food being late. And let me just put it this way. You got problems on the outside. There's security risk on the outside of the facility. So things are gonna take longer on the inside, such as food being prepared. So there were issues inside the facility. Let me just say, when the media took the walkthrough, I'm just going to say this. All right. That facility is 10 times better than a normal county jail. All right. They get to play video games. They get to go on the internet. Hell. They even get nice visits with their family members or friends. They get a nice cushy law library. They get elevated Healthcare. The place looked like a resort. All right. It looked like a 3 or 4 star resort. They have that facility has a soccer court, basketball court. Looked like a recreational facility more than a prison. All right. That's just how I viewed it when I was watching the tape. So just putting that out there for anyone. So yeah, you're absolutely right with you, Nicole. Normal prisons have none of those things. And I'm just going to point out this. All right. Normal prisoners cannot be on their phones. They're even allowed cell phones. Normal county jails and state prisons or normal federal prisons, they don't allow cell phones. They're contraband. But if conditions were so bad in Delaney Hall and they had all these privileges, wouldn't they document it with their cell phones? So zero evidence. There's zero evidence of abuse. There's zero evidence of deplorable conditions. The media did a walkthrough, and none of the accusations that lawmakers are making about the facility is panning out. So you have these crazy lunatics outside rioting. Yeah, what you call? They have a TV in a rec room. You can watch whatever is put on. And they could even have TV in their cell. They get Wi-Fi. They get everything. And here's the thing. They even get $1,000 if they self-deport. Damn. The place looks like a spa. It looks like a vacation spot. Damn. These people that are rioting in the streets. So I just want to put that guy up. If anyone sees him, please call the FBI. So anyone in Queens, New York, or New Jersey, please keep an eye out for him. So let's change the topic. All right. So there was another escape. This time in Lee County, Florida. All right. So get a load of this. There was a guard in there was a sheriff's deputy. One day decided he was going to drive drunk. Okay. So the local police department pulls him over, and he takes his breathalyzer, and he blows over the legal limit. So he's arrested for DWI, as per the law. And I don't know what happened with his case, but he must have pled guilty or was convicted of his crime and didn't go to sentencing or something. So this deputy was fired from his job as a prison guard. And get a load of this. He was housed in the same facility he worked. Okay? So not only does the county sheriff house this guy who used to work there, who knew the place in and out. So this guy was in county jail custody He used to work there. He knew the place in and out. And guess what he did? He just walked right out. Oh no. How did that happen? How did he just walk out? How did he walk out of the county jail and escape? So, the first thing they did during the investigation was check the surveillance cameras. So he got out of 3 sets of doors that were locked. Through the front, got through the cell block. He just walked right out. So there was a keypad. Okay, it's either you got to have a key or you have to type in a code. They never changed the codes. So he just typed in a code, never changed it, buzzed him in, pushed the button in a certain way, opened the next door, opened the next door, opened the next door, and before you knew it, he walks right out. Uh-oh, right? And guess what? He was under investigation for child abuse and domestic violence. The irony. Yeah, they never changed it, what you call. They never changed the code. So I think they have here's what I'm thinking, what you call. They have like one code for the whole jail or something, it's like, here's the password to the doors, just push in this code and you're you buzz in. It's they never changed them. So there was has anyone watched the show 60 Days In? Where they go into problematic jails and people go undercover and they're little snitches. So there was one episode they recorded an incident where one inmate had to be transferred to another facility because he was problematic. He was a former employee of the facility. So they transferred him to another county. So I'm asking myself, why didn't they do it here? Why did they have to house him in Lee County, Florida, when they could have just transferred him to another county where he doesn't know the facility, he doesn't know the codes, he doesn't know this, he doesn't know that. He's just a normal inmate. So that was really, 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 it was one of the most dumbest security failures, in my opinion. Now, this guy didn't destroy property. He didn't climb through vent. He didn't destroy the toilet like in New Orleans and crawl through a back shaft, a utility shaft. This guy just walked through the doors, peeked through to see if the coast was clear, and just walked out. So now Lee County is reviewing its protocols, which is pretty much common sense. Don't have former employees as inmates. It's just that simple. Are they that dumb in Florida? You don't need to do a study on that. Yeah, you know. They are really, really stupid. Probably in Fort Myers. I was like listening to the news. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa, you know? So here's the good news. They caught him 2 hours later. He didn't get far. So if you want to escape from jail, 95% of the time you're gonna get caught within hours to a day or two on the lam. Is that a very smart thing to do to escape from county jail, state prison? Yeah, it's not very smart. Now, there's the two New Orleans escapees that are still at large. Oh yeah, of course. What you call? There should be accountability for that one, and there should be accountability for what happened in New Orleans. All right, you had 10 escape. You have 8 that was caught within a few days. All right, that's good, but you still have 2 on the lam in New Orleans. So Anton Massey was an escape artist, all right, and he was put on the first floor. How stupid are they? And he was in prison. I'm looking at their records yesterday, and they were in prison. He was in prison for domestic violence. All right. He couldn't keep his hands and feet to himself. Now, he went to social media saying he was innocent. Okay. So I decided to go check out his story. Okay. Check out the feasibility of it. He's full of shit. Okay. Anton Massey is full of shit. He's just deflecting. So, according to the district attorney and the police report, Anton Massey he didn't keep his hands to himself. All right. So you don't get swollen eyes for nothing. You don't get bruises, a bunch of bruises over nothing. All right. So the probable cause report said this, which is pretty sad, by the way. So his girlfriend filed a police report for domestic violence with the police, the New Orleans police, and Anton Massey found out about it. So he beat her to a pulp. So she calls the he kidnaps her, and by the time she got to the police, flagged down an officer, escaped his so-called custody. All right. She had a swollen black eye, swollen shut. Now, I could see some females punching themselves or kicking them for red marks, or as he claimed. But I'll give you an example here. Robbie's mother, she used to hit herself, do little things, but she wouldn't have eyes swollen shut due to self-harm. All right. She wouldn't have those kind of injuries. She might have black and blue marks that are self-inflicted, but not injuries like she had, the girlfriend had. Okay, so Anton Massey's story that he's telling on social media is a bunch of bullshit, in my opinion. Okay, so his story is he's full of shit. Okay, he's just trying to get himself attention, and apparently someone recognized him where he was. It was probably a family member, and wanted that $50,000 reward. Wouldn't you? If you knew where one of the escapees was and there was $50,000 in it for you. So, oh yeah, absolutely witchy. You know, there's signs to differentiate the two. So, now let's get to the case of the second one at large. All right, this is one of the most violent ones on the lam. All right, this one's Derek Groves. So I'm gonna pull him up and read what he was. Okay, let me hold on. Here we go. I'm going to read part of the indictment. So let me scroll up here, all right? I'm reading the court papers. I pulled the court papers up yesterday so I could read them. So they give the story and the appeal on what he did, what the state alleges. So let me just go to the top. So, Derek Groves' crime happened in 2018. All right. So, here's the factual and procedural history of his case. So, on February 13th, 2018, Mardi Gras evening, a group of people convened at the house. I'm not going to give the address. In the lower Ninth Ward neighborhood of New Orleans, some people gathered outside beginning around 8:11 p.m. The New Orleans Police Department received seven 911 calls reporting a shooting at Blank Avenue. In the course of the shooting, victim Jamar Robinson, Byron Jackson were shot and killed. All right, so there's two murders. So he was in prison. He was in the parish jail for two murders. All right, they were shot and killed. And Eric Robinson, Fred Henry, and Delvin Wright were shot and injured. So he was charged originally with 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. Ouch. Bad boy. Bad boy. So on January 31st, 2019, the Orleans Parish Grand Jury indicted both defendants. He has a co-defendant, by the way. For the February 13th, 2018, second-degree murder are the two killed. It attempted second-degree murders of the three. All right. So he was originally charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted second-degree murder. All right. So there was 1 count of each. So that's 5 counts of obstruction of justice. And a count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. A jury trial commenced October 21st, 2019, and continued through October 24th, 2019. All right. So defendants challenged 2 jurors, blah, blah, blah. So let me just make this short and sweet. So both Derek Groves and his co-defendant were convicted in the first trial. All right. Except for on 1 count of attempted murder. He was acquitted on 1 count. All right. So they appealed his conviction. All right. Like most defendants do in this country. And the appeals court overturned their convictions based on something to do with the jury selection or something, and a few other factors. So they retried them. Second trial ended up in a hung jury. So they tried him for the 3rd time. Guilty on all counts. So, and this guilty verdict on all counts, what happened late 2024. So this case was being litigated since 2018, and he escaped in May. Well, he was in jail for 7 years on murder charges, all right? So this guy is nasty. He is a gang member. And if you want my honest opinion, I think organized crime figures are hiding them. So he'll eventually get comfortable and start walking about, and the police will get him. So I just wanted everyone to know what these people are charged with, the ones that escaped. So just so everyone knows, there's another case. All right. There's another case that is old. We're going to go do a flashback, all right, to 1980s. This case was high profile back then. So we're going to take a trip to Wisconsin. All right. Has anyone heard of the case of Lori Benbenek? So she started out as she went through the police academy. All right. She got fired from the police department for minor infractions. They had a problem in Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Police Department was corrupt, sexist, you name it. So she got a job as a security officer at Marquette University. All right. So she made the mistake of marrying a police officer named Fred Schultz. Okay. And he just got divorced from a Christine Schultz. I don't know if everyone remembers this case. It was high profiled. So she was convicted in 1982 to life in prison for first degree murder. And this case was problematic from the start. To be honest with you, this case had so many holes in it. I'm surprised she got a guilty verdict in the first place. But some of the misconduct by police and prosecutors wasn't exactly known at the time. She exhausted her appeals. Okay. So, let me just say this was high profile back then. So she gained even more media notice in 1990 after she escaped the Takchahita Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. So she escaped. She was an escapee. She was a female. It made the news. I remember this. I remember this case. All right. I remember hearing it on the news. And then I remember the several weeks, she was profiled on America's Most Wanted. All right. And then there was the media report from Milwaukee where they were saying, "Run, Bambi, run." So there were several Milwaukee reporters that were actually in support of her, and they actually explained the case, and I'm like, oh dear. Oh dear, this is problematic. I'm not saying she exhausted all her appeal, and I'm not saying she should have escaped out of custody, but damn. So she escaped. She fled to Canada with her boyfriend that she met from the inside. I think it was one of the other inmates' brother, by the way. So, and he picked her up right outside the prison gate when she escaped. They went to Canada, Thunder Bay. She was arrested 3 months later. All right. So if you want to escape, and even if you have help, you're going to get caught. Even if you go under an alias, and even if you're going to get caught. Even Lori Benbenick got caught. All right. She was profiled like 2 to 3 times on America's Most Wanted. I even watched America's Most Wanted back then as a kid. And I remember I was watching for my grandmother's house. This was during my parents' divorce. And I was watching the coverage. I needed something to do after school. So I had to spend the night several times. So Lori Benbenick was on the news. It was highly covered when she escaped from Wisconsin maximum security prison for women. And there was several issues with the evidence. Okay, I'm just going to go through the case in general. That was some of it's problematic. Okay. So Christine Schultz and Fred Schultz had two sons, Sean and Shannon, then 11 and 7. They were asleep in the house when their mother's assailant entered their room. They found their mother face down on the bed, bleeding. The older boy, Sean, saw the assailant, which he described as a masked male figure in a green army jacket and black shoes. He said the man had a long, reddish colored ponytail, approximately 6 foot. Okay? So the kid took the witness stand and said it was a man dressed in, he had a wig on. So apparently that testimony was ignored. All right. I don't think the kid was lying. He just testified at trial what he saw. So that was one problem. And you had a shit ballistic examiner who said it was her husband's, it was Fred Schultz's off-duty revolver. But guess what? It wasn't his off-duty revolver, it turned out. The state introduced it as Fred Schultz's off-duty revolver, but it turned out after the trial it wasn't. And get a load of this. There were Brady violations all over the place. The police didn't interviewed people where they saw a man dressed in a wig running from the crime scene. They didn't turn that over to the prosecutor or the defense. Surprise, surprise, isn't it? So they said the state case said, okay, Ben Bennett had a key to Christine's home. There were no signs of break-in or valuables taken. 2 human hairs found at the crime scene, supposedly taken from the hairbrush of the defendant. But the medical examiner said there was no hairs when she looked at it. No brown, no hairs like that. Oops, right? But for some reason, she wasn't asked about it on the witness stand. Or it wasn't in her report. So, Lori Ben Bennett had a friend. Her name was Judy Zess. She lived in the same apartment building as Lori and her husband, Christine Schultz, ex. And they shared common plumbing is what's in these some of these apartment buildings. And guess what popped up? That so-called wig was flushed down the toilet. So it turned out that Judy lied on the witness stand to protect her so-called boyfriend at the time, Fred Horenberger. She said she lied under duress. And get a load of this. When she was fired, she made a complaint to the Equal Opportunity Commission. Okay, for gender discrimination, and they were listening to her because she had photos, evidence that that several male police officers were committing lewd and lascivious conduct in the park. Photographic evidence, and they did, and the Milwaukee Police Department did shit for their corruption. But she got fired for a minor offense. So minor. So her soon-to-be ex-husband had a bigger motive than she did. I think this is just my opinion only, but I think her ex-husband didn't want to pay child support and alimony. That's what I think. You know, it's happens every day in this country. But instead of but the facts were Fred Schultz had an alibi. So they just stuck it on the wife and just stuck the circumstances on her. Plus, she was ratting on the Milwaukee police. So they were. So then they had a reporter seeing if she had the opportunity to commit the crime. He walked the distance and even drove it, and it was practically impossible to do it in the time frame. So that actually put doubt in my mind that she could have done it. I think it was murder for hire. And if I was probably on that jury, I probably would have said there wasn't enough evidence to convict. It was super circumstantial. They couldn't place anybody at the crime scene. It was probably she could have done it, but she did. When she went to Canada, they wouldn't extradite her until a full review of the case was done. And then she won a new trial, but she was worried. She didn't want to roll the dice, so she took a plea deal. But even if you escape from prison, you're going to get caught. There's very few on the list that actually stayed at large. They caught someone a few weeks ago that was on the lam for 40 years, one of those rare occasions. So So she got so this girl died early. All right. She after she got released, she became addicted to alcohol. She developed hepatitis C. She had PTSD and all this other crap. So, DNA testing back in the day was in its infancy. It didn't I didn't hear about DNA until the O.J. Simpson case. So, later on, they retested the evidence in this case. And guess what? It turned out she's in the clear. Uh-oh, right? So guess what? There was DNA found. They couldn't really test it in 1981. But later they tested the DNA. Okay, and guess what? It was male DNA. So the kid was right. A male actually committed the crime. And it was found later that it was a sex crime gone wrong. So sometimes some people fall through the cracks of the legal system. These days, it really, if you got DNA left behind, it doesn't happen anymore. But back in the day, they only had like blood type testing and fingerprints and ballistic. Now they do things with computers. They match fingerprints with computers. They do ballistic tests with computers. A lot of the time, they don't do the hand by hand anymore. So there are less mistakes made. So I just wanted to give an update on a few cases, and that I covered. So there's an update on the Daroba Redden case. Remember, I covered the one who assaulted the judge from over the bench, leaped over. So apparently, I was waiting for his trial to start, and a few months ago, they came to an agreement behind closed doors, and he took up another plea bargain. So he got a nice big sentence for that. So he won't be getting out of jail anytime soon. So all right. I want to thank everyone who came tonight. And please hit the thumbs up on the way out. I really appreciate it. And I'll see everyone next time. All right.